Have you ever opened the book of Revelation or Daniel and felt overwhelmed by the language? Maybe you saw dragons, beasts, or strange numbers, and you wondered, what does all of this mean? You are not alone. For many years, many believers have felt the same way. They read these passages with confusion, sometimes even with fear, but here is the truth. These writings, often called apocalyptic, were never meant to leave us frightened. They were written to give God's people courage and hope during some of the darkest times in history. So what exactly is apocalyptic writing? The word itself comes from the Greek word apocalypsis, which means unveiling or revelation. It is a style of writing filled with visions, imagery, numbers, and symbols. It is dramatic and often mysterious, but it was always meant to reveal something about God's plan, not to hide it. When early believers read these writings, they understood the meaning of the numbers and the images. The symbols were familiar to them in ways that are not always familiar to us today. For example, the number 7 often represented completion or perfection. The number 12 reminded them of the 12 tribes of Israel and later the 12 apostles. The number 40 symbolized testing and trial. Even the number 1000 pointed to fullness and vastness, not always a literal count. The same is true for images. A lamb pointed to innocence and sacrifice, pointing directly to Jesus Christ. A lion spoke of strength and kingship. A tree represented life, growth, and connection to God. The sea often represented chaos and the unknown. To the original audience, these were not strange or random images. They carried deep meaning that strengthened their faith. Visions, too, were God's way of helping his people see the bigger picture. Ezekiel saw wheels within wheels covered in eyes. Daniel saw beasts rising from the sea. John saw the lamb standing as if slain. Peter saw a sheet filled with animals, teaching him that God was welcoming the Gentiles into his family. Each vision spoke truth in a way that words alone could not. Why did God use this kind of writing? Because his people were facing persecution, exile, and suffering. They needed encouragement. They needed to know that even when it looked like evil was winning, God was still in control. Apocalyptic writing reminded them that the kingdoms of this world will rise and fall, but the kingdom of God will endure forever. And here is the message for us today. When life feels chaotic, when you look at the world and wonder how much darker it can get, apocalyptic writing reminds us of this one truth. Evil will not win. God reigns. Christ is victorious. And his people can walk in courage and hope. Revelation and Daniel are not books of fear. They are books of hope. They lift our eyes from the chaos of this world and point us to the certainty of God's victory. Follow along and let us discover the true meaning together. For more devotionals, resources, and encouragement, visit hiswordsministry.com.